everybody, it's Romania Black, and it feels weird to not be talking about the manga this week for Natsume's Book of Friends, Natsume Yuujinchou. Yeah, it feels weird to not be talking about the manga, but we've spent the last 4 weeks talking about volumes 3 through 6 of the manga that encompassed everything with season 2 and some of season 1. So now we're back to talking about the actual show and just the show for now. So we're on episode 31 of Natsume's Book of Friends. I'm super excited about it. Technically season 3, episode 5. And so far, this season has given us a lot of really fun moments, heartfelt moments, lots of interesting yokai connections back to Natsume's past, connections possibly to his family we don't know much about. I mean, there's been some tiebacks to Reiko, but we've also seen some ghosts of Natsume's past, which have filtered back into the present. And I think that's rather interesting. I think the fact that a lot of Natsume's skeletons in his closet are coming back to see him now, I feel like that's something that's going to be a theme, because one of Natsume's, and we've talked about it in the comments, which thank you all so much for your comments. I've really appreciated them. One thing we've talked about in the series is this idea that Natsume, as I think it was Sunspots that pointed this out, has a tendency to be very self-critical to the point where it's a problem. I know Elusive Fangirl has talked about this as well in their comments, that Natsume just really likes to try to do things on his own and not involve people. And in the past, he tried to just do kind of like his grandmother Reiko did and run away from a lot of his problems. But now that he has a loving family system, he has friends, whether they can see yokai or not, it allows him as a person to branch out and start to explore the possibility of not only incorporating those people into his life along with the yokai, but to try to have in his mind a sense of normalcy, because everyone's sense of normalcy is different. There's not really a normal in the world. It's all based on perspective and environment and whatever. So I've really come to enjoy how Natsume's grown throughout seasons 1 and 2. And in season 3, he's taking that next step by kind of rectifying some of the skeletons in his closet and coming to terms with his past so that he can move forward in the present. And I think that's really important. So I'm super excited to see where the rest of season 3 goes. And then, of course, after season 3 is over, then we'll start with season 4. But I know as I'm recording this, season 7 is about to come out. And I will be honest, we're not even going to get into season 5 until the start of 2025. So I feel like next year is going to be a Natsume year, but it's good to know that I'll have the 7th season to get to when we get to it. So I feel like this series is going to take me all into next year. Tuesdays is going to be Natsume Book of Friends Tuesdays for a long time, and I'm not upset about that at all. So I hope you all are on board each Tuesday with joining me and talking about this series. I hope you all enjoy it. But I want to give a very quick shout out over to our philanthropy tier over on Patreon. I'm super excited and happy to have all of you that support me on YouTube, those that support me on Patreon. But with your help, especially through Patreon, as well as the philanthropy tier, I was able to go online and digitally buy the manga. I use my funds from Patreon mainly to buy things for the channel, whether it's new equipment or whether it's actual manga or anime or paying for subscriptions, because I have several for the different various shows that I watch. So I honestly use those funds for that. So definitely the funds you all provide me each month are going to be going towards buying the manga to review and talk to you all about, because I want to support the original artist. I want to support the official release and do all that good stuff. So a special shout out to the philanthropy tier, because they get a mention in my videos each week, to Alex Cornejo, Anime Annie, to Be Happy, to Bryant Reed, to Damage3245, to Dana, to Destiny Marie, to Danny Don Mai, to Devorin, to Danger Zone, as well as Eric, Ichu, Fisho, Ghostly Turnip, El Freya, Liam Poles, Lyndon, Alexandra Q, as well as Matthew Palfinier, Murphew, Nicholas, Nameless Monster, No Nickname, Sunspots, Shimoyama, as well as Trails and Translucent Men. Thank you all so much for your support. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. So yeah, Super excited. I've recently gone online just looking for random things, and there was a site. I'll have to think of the name of it, but they kind of do like proxy shipping for random things. They go to like Jump Festa and stuff, and they find different things and resell. They are very expensive, so I rarely buy from them, but I like to see what's out there. And on their site, they recently had a ton of Natsume Book of Friends merchandise. Which I was like, I didn't want to really look at it because I was like, I don't want spoilers, but they were mainly clothing. And I was like, clothing? Natsume Book of Friends clothing? Oh yes, there are shoes, there are jackets, there are trench coats, there is the sickest drip you've ever seen of Natsume Book of Friends. And it's all super minimalist, but super earthy and cute, but also hella expensive. And so I'm like, cute. Not gonna be able to afford that, but really super awesome, cute. Somebody out there is wearing Natsume drip and they are looking exquisite, so good for them. But we've talked enough. We're gonna start Natsume Book of Friends, episode 5 of season 3, episode 31 all together, and we're gonna do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Yay. I had to check when I started because right now my internet is out. Still. Also special shout out to Edgar for finding me these files. But Edgar's been sending me these files and I download them onto a flash drive at work. I know I shouldn't do that, but I'm doing it. And then I take them home and I react to them here at home, and then I can edit here at home. I've got a hotspot that's got just enough juice to finish the edit, and then I can take it to work and upload it. For now. But the last couple of times with certain shows, I get the audio on and it's in English and I was like, crap. So that's happened with the Apothecary Diaries, I think like 3 times now. And I was like, dang it. Oh, oh, hi, Taki. What? The thing lurking in the storeroom. Ooh, how spooky! Oh, wow. It looks a lot like Natsume's. Yeah! Oh. And then she was like, yoink! Ah! Oh my god! Oh my god. Oh my god, I love it. Oh, pudding is Yokon. There could also be something in the storeroom. That storeroom looks creepy as hell. Oh, I'm sure that that's your reason. What? Aw. Can these 3 just live in a polycule in the house together? I'm all for that. You know what? Monogamy? Come on now, y'all. Let's get with the 21st century. Let's let the 3 of them live together. I support this threesome. Oh! Why hi? That's really funny. Oh, and she has a koi pond too. Oh. That thing is huge. Oh my god, it's actually really big. Yin and yang. Oh, we don't talk about the past. Oh, so he was like Sasada. Like a ghost hunter, you could say. A Zach Baggins, you would say. Oh, because this was her grandpa. Interesting that it was her grandfather who knew Reiko. Interesting, which is his grandmother. So, what if Natsume and Taki turned out to be like cousins? I had to think about that for a second. That would ruin that ship plan for sure. Oh, look at the little Kelpie on the wall. That's cute. Or the Kappa. Kappa, not Kelpie. Oh no, I hate when that happens. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of people that would like to see ghosts. Oh, Natsume, sweetheart. You need me to help you and stand behind you with my big, strong hands? uh, oh! What the fudge is this? Yeah, that is a bit creepy, though. Is everything for warding off evil in this storeroom? Huh. I do think that it's interesting that you have Reiko, who could see all the yokai and wasn't scared of them, and then her grandpa, who had all the trinkets. Also, way to go for Taki for being like, hey, you big strong boys, get in here and move this shit. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I have to work so hard. Girl's got all the goods. She's got pudding. She's got fried noodles. She's like, let me whip you up something to thank you for your service. Oh, there's one left. Uh-oh. No, there was not only two. There were three, and Natsume was the only one that could see the third one. Oh, shit. Uh-oh. About that. Oh. Don't mind me. Keep talking. It's fine. I would maybe... We'll talk about the whole shipping thing in the discussion. No, you did not remember it wrong. Well, that sounds creepy as hell. Oh my god. What the fudge? Why does it have mechanical arms? No! Shit! Don't tell me it's a robot for warding off evil. Oh, no, it's a ghost. Never mind. Shit. Well, what are you gonna do, Natsume? We just talked about this. Oh. Oh my god! Ah! It's strangely cute. But creepy as hell. What? Do you now? Oh, Shinichiro. Hmm. Oh, wow. Oh, shit. Oh, crap. Oh, well, that's creepy. Oh, no. Oh, lovely. And then that's when they took it down. Oh, crap. Uh-oh. Well, shit. Oh. Oh, no. Now we gotta find... He's gonna try to find the rest of his body, and we gotta try to stop before that happens. Well, shit. Where's Madara for all this? Oh, my God. Well, this yokai likes telling us a bunch of stuff. Crap. Oh, well, there's a leg. By Joe, there it is. Madara, where'd you go, cat? Where you been? Oh, shit! No! No! Natsume, do not keep this from them. Okay, good. Oh my god. Oh, I love her looking around! Oh. Got so obsessed with trying to find charms and stuff. Oh, trying to figure out all he could. Oh. Wow. Oh, that's so sad. Wow. And a lot of them are the ones we've seen in the show before. Oh my god. I like that Tanama's going up in there. Oh, his headaches. Yeah. Yeah. He can get a headache whenever there's a yokai near. Oh my god. Oh, that's so creepy! But why? Oh my god, why? Why is this so, like, why is he so fast and creepy? No. Oh my god. Oh, shit! You girl, you could have knocked their heads off. Uh-oh. Oof. All these yokai are just coming out of the woodwork. Wow. Uh-huh. Holy cow, that easily. Ooh. Oh my god. Can she see them, or is she still trying to figure that out? Can she just hear the sound? Oh. Oh, that's so sad. Ooh. He's like, I gotta translate and everything. Oh. Oh, say it that way. Ah. Oh. Wow. Kakura. Yeah, now he just sees his head. Uh-huh. So what now? Where's Madara in all of this? Where'd he vanish to? Oh, yes. I was waiting for that too, actually. And not think you were crazy or lying. Oh, shit! Well, no, that's not good! Oh! Oh, crap. Well, where to? Right, you could use a circle. They had to bring that up because he, in the manga, was not there for her circle. So that's interesting they bring it up now. I'm sure that was scary, but... Well... Supposedly. But if he lied to her... Oh, there's Madara! Ponta, yes! Funny that. Is she gonna get mad because Natsume lied to her about them liking... Oh, look, we found the fat cat. Oh. Madara's like, I don't even know anymore. Fine, that's all I wanted. Damn it. Oh, shit. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Because the one arm shriveled up. Oh, my God. Why do all these yokai got axes? These yokai need to be... Well, I guess we should be glad that it's just axes, not anything worse, but... Oh, my God. Well, good. Glad he can't get to the head. Oh, my God. That's not good either. Of course. Good. Get the axe out of his hands. Oh, shit. Oh, well, never mind. Oh, the house has a barrier. Oh. Huh? Oh, my God. Oh, shit. Well, never mind. Oh, shit. Oh. Uh. Oh. 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 So they kill it? Or exercise it? Oh. 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 Oh, show, why you gotta do this and rip my heart out in the last 30 seconds? Why? Oh. Oh. Wow, so Madara actually got rid of a spirit. Interesting. Ha! I love the voice of the black one. It's super cute. It's actually really cute. Oh. 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 Oh my God, that's so sweet. That's really sweet. Oh. Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. This episode almost made me cry in like the last 5 minutes. And I was like, no, no way, man. Oh, it almost got me. Like I was tearing up. Oh my gosh. It was so good. Oh man. Oh, that just got me. Like right in the heart. Like the idea of the guardian angels and like the yokai that can see them, but that they can't see. Oh, also giving off like a Labyrinth vibe of like at the very end of Labyrinth when Sarah's looking into the mirror and she's like, should you need us? And then Hogle's like, yeah, should you need us? Like she can see him in the mirror. Oh my gosh. What a roller coaster of an episode. Oh, I mean, I don't expect any less from Natsume, but oh my gosh. Holy cow. Y'all. I am just really speechless about that, honestly. Huh. Like, let me go wipe the moisture from my eyes. Damn. Wow. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, well, you know, we should probably talk about this. Oh my gosh. Well, that was a great episode. You know what? That was a really good episode. Man, okay. So I guess we need to go back to the beginning and talk about this episode. We'll get out of the OP there, but man, I'm not joking. I was about to cry at the end of this episode. I was about to cry, and I was like, I'd been doing really good, and I was like, oh, this won't be a very sad. It was a very action oriented episode, and there was lots of things going on, and then yeah, right there at the end when they bring in that little, they just take the little knife and they just stab it in and twist it, and you're like, like oh my god, oh. So there's a lot to talk about in this episode. Not enough to bring out Whiteboard Kun because I don't know what I'd write on Whiteboard Kun, but we have a lot to talk about, so we need to get into this. One thing that this series has made me, especially after reading the manga, become aware of is that now, granted, as we've talked about the last couple of weeks, leading up to season 3, the anime started around the end of around the time that the manga had covered season 1 and season 2. That's when they started creating the anime. So there were 6 volumes of manga out around the time the anime started. So around the time that the content for season 3 started coming out, they were starting the anime. And as the mangaka talks about in previous volumes, the manga itself is pretty vignette. It's just like a little episodic adventures. And as it goes on, they start to kind of have a little thread together, especially once we get Taki and Notori introduced. But a lot of times the anime, to make it a more cohesive episode, we'll add a few little extra things to make it all work and make sense, right? And not just be an out of the blue thing. Like, for example, when the episode with Kai happens last season and they find the mansion, in the manga, it's just Natsume walking Madara around and they stumble across the mansion. In the anime, they have Sasada and the classmates take him there, and then Taki shows up. And that's not how it happens at all in the manga. So when this episode started and we saw Tanama in the rain hiding under the awning that ends up being Taki's house with Natsume, in my head, before we got to see Taki in the episode, in my head I was going, is this really happening in the manga, or is this an anime only thing? Not that it matters, and I'll take it either way, but it was just something that ever since I've started reading the manga, it's like in the back of my brain. I'm like, okay, maybe this is going to touch on that, whatever that is. But I will never turn down an episode involving Taki, Tanama, or Natsume. The three of them, let them just live together as adults. Let them just get a friend-style apartment. Even if they're all platonically connected, let them just be platonic besties forever. I will support this. We'll talk about the shipping elements a little bit in this episode, but I do love the idea. I love something that is related to the characters. I've talked about this in the comments with Sunspots and some others in recent episodes, but what I love about Natsume's Book of Friends that it does that I have not seen other series do that I've watched on this channel to this extent is that there are 7 elements of fiction, right? There are characters, plot, setting, point of view. There's also style, symbolism, and theme. And you need all 7 to have a really good story. Those are the 7 elements of fiction that you need to have to tell a good story. But a lot of writers will focus on one of 2 of those elements and really excel at them. So, for example, I'm usually a character-driven story person. I can forgive like little plot holes, and I can forgive like little stylistic things if it doesn't look the best, if they have really good characters. If they have really well-developed characters and good character arcs, I can forego a lot of elements and forgive a lot of sins to make up for that. But one element that I think gets neglected a lot in stories is setting, because you have to have a time and a place and a location and a time period. But I feel like a lot of authors just say, here's where it's happening, here's the setting, and it's just like an element that's kind of pushed off to the side as it's necessary but not focused on. Natsume Yujinchou focuses a lot on setting. It creates an ambiance, it creates an atmosphere, and it kind of just sets the tone for the story, which is really, really impressive. This is one of the first stories where I really notice setting, and setting takes kind of a precedent. And I think that's really cool because normally you don't even think about it, right? So one thing I really like about this as well is that it connects to Tanama's character. Tanama he grew up in a shrine, him and his father live in one. So it would make sense that he kind of like sees the architecture of Taki's house and he's like, wow, this seems like an old house, must have a pretty rich history. And Natsume's like, okay, yeah, sure. He's like, I guess. So then as it starts raining, he's like, what should we do? And he's like, I don't like to be near places where I can sense yokai. So he debates whether he should leave or not. And he's like, should we keep going? And he thinks that he senses something, which what's funny is I feel like he might have been sensing the yokai that were hanging out around the house. It might not have been the one missing all the body parts, but then once they stumble in and the whole like Kappa picture gets taken down, which we'll talk about in a minute, then it all kind of breaks loose. But I like how this episode evolves because at the beginning, Natsume doesn't really he just wants to take Tanama and go. He's like, hey, let's just leave. Let's not stick around. We don't need to talk about yokai or get involved with them. And then by the end of the episode, you have it bookmarked. At the beginning of the episode, he wants to avoid talking about yokai. He wants to avoid where they are. He's like, let's just go somewhere else and not worry about it. And by the end of the episode, he's sitting down with Taki and Tanama and being like, okay, you want me to tell you about the yokai I've seen? Let's talk. That's such a like an arc in one episode. It's like an evolution in one episode that Natsume goes through, and it's really well done. I'm like, yes, please. So then there's Taki, and he's like, this is bad if there's a yokai there, and then we find out that it's Taki. And of course it's Taki with Madara. And I love that I love that Madara's just sitting in her arms like, I'm sorry, I was abducted by her. She saw me on the rooftop and grabbed me. I I love it. I'm going to be very interested to see how this pans out in the manga. That's what I'm going to be curious to see, how this pans out. But so then we cut to them, and she's made pudding for all of them, getting them all the snacks. Her house surprisingly looks a lot like Natsume's, but obviously there's a lot more rooms. I've noticed that you have Tanama and Taki, two characters who live in like mansion style houses that are enormous, but they're kind of like shrines in a way. So I think that's really cute and cool to connect the two of them together. All right. If I'm going to be honest with you all, I've said in previous episodes, I have 3 characters that I ship with Natsume. I ship Taki for sure. I ship Tanama for sure. And if Natsume was aged up 10 years, I would ship him in Notori. Those are my 3 ships. They're my 3 ones. But I'm going to be honest with you. Just how I ship Natsume with Taki and Tanama, I kind of ship Tanama and Taki together a little bit. Now, if you told me that you were like diehard Natsume Tanama shipper and Taki was like the platonic bestie or the beard, then I'd be like, oh, okay, yep, totally see that. But if you told me that you were shipping aged up Natsume with Notori and Taki and Tanama were a ship together, that works too. I think that works just as well. So I don't know. At this point, I'm multi-shipping that square of individuals, but I definitely could see in this episode how Taki could either be Takama's girlfriend or Natsume's girlfriend, or she could be the platonic friend that Natsume and Tanama are like, we're besties with you. And she's like, yes, we are. So I think it could go either way. But yeah, she's like, I went to take out a look and then I saw Madara and abducted him. I love that in this anime, both prominent female characters, Sasada in season 1 and Taki in season 3, have abducted Madara for their own purposes and weren't planning on giving him back. And Natsume's like, oh no, that makes sense. So anyway, she apologizes. Madara's not doing bad. He has the pudding. He's fine. But anyway, she goes outside and she's like, can you help me with the storeroom? The storeroom that is bigger than most people's houses. It also looks so dark and ominous. Like the moment we found out the title of this episode is called The Thing That Lurks in the Storeroom. And she's like, want to help me clear the storeroom? I'm like, that place looks creepy. There's probably a dangerous yokai in there. And there was. So I was like, okay. But her house is massive and her parents do not seem to be home anywhere. But anyway, so they're like, well, I guess we could help you because you did give us shelter and pudding. So sure. And of course, Natsume, one thing that I also wonder if this is kind of like manga versus anime only content is that Madara is absent throughout most of this episode. Madara is not present. And whenever Natsume here is like, do you sense any yokai? And he's like, oh, there's yokai all over. So I don't know. I sense some of them, but it's fine. So I can't decide in my head, and I don't want anybody to spoil me. We'll find out when I review the manga. But I can't decide if it's just that Madara didn't feel threatened necessarily until the yokai started to put its parts and pieces together. And then Madara was like, or if in the manga, Natsume runs into Tanama and Taki, and then Madara finds him at the house later. I don't know which it is, or if it's just like it is portrayed here, but we'll find out in the manga, so just don't tell me. We'll find out when I review the manga. It'll be all right. So yeah, and then there were so many creepy elements in this episode. So many creepy elements. Like when they first open up the shed and there's like the creepy wooden doll, which by the way is enormous. Like it looked the perspective of it. Oh yeah, he says, I've had my he said, I have my pudding, I'm leaving. Okay, so he leaves in the episode there. So maybe that was the case. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, they open up the shed and look in, and there's the creepy doll. Granted, it is huge. When I first saw it in the episode, I thought it was like, something that was sitting on a tabletop. But no, it's like 5 feet tall. And I was like, oh shit, that thing is enormous. And then she's like, oh, it wards off evil. It's perfectly fine. This wooden doll. She's like, I thought it was scary too at first. And you know what? The funny thing about that is when she says she was scared of it when she was young too, my great aunt, she had this little house And when you walked into the house, you walked up the stairway. And I remember it when I was a kid. You walk up the stairway and you could go, when you walked into the house, there was like a little foyer and you could either go left, you could either go straight, or you could go right. If you went straight, you went into the living room and then the kitchen. And I remember that. And then from the kitchen, you could kind of go around and there was a guest bedroom, a bathroom, and then the master bedroom. If you went right, you went straight into the master bedroom. When I was a kid, I was terrified to go straight into the master bedroom. I would always go straight. I never went right into the other room. And my great aunt was like, "What is wrong with you?" She had, for whatever reason, above her bed, a giant replica of American Gothic, the painting. If you've ever looked at American Gothic, the painting, go look it up after watching this. But it is a painting of the farmer and wife where he has the pitchfork and she's got into the wife and they're both farmers. If you ever see that painting in real life, it's one of those paintings where the eyes of the characters in the painting follow you around the room. It's an optical illusion, but the eyes will follow you. It scared the crap out of me as a kid. I thought it was haunted. I thought it was a ghost. I thought it was a yokai. And I was terrified. I would not go in that room when I was a kid. I was like, "Nope, I don't want to see it." My aunt was like, it's not a ghost. It's fine. I was like, mm-mm. So yeah, I totally understand when she's talking here about being scared. She's like, it's for warding off evil, and they're like, more like scaring off thieves. I do like their little Swiffer dusting, like their broomsticks that have the dust on them, and they put the rags on there to help clean it out. But I'm like, girl, you're just like, "I think I'll clean out the storeroom today now that I've got you guys here." She's been putting this off for months and waiting till some guys came and helped her, and today was her lucky day. So the Taki family business used to be like, just, it feels like little ghost busting. It feels like her grandparents were Ghostbusters. They were just giving like the high-tech, low-tech equipment. I don't know what her parents do now. She says, although my grandfather couldn't see yokai, he researched them. So yeah, it is very apparent that his childhood like interest became an obsession that he carried on into adulthood because of all of the yokai and what surrounded him. Which is crazy. I'm like, Sasada, your future is on these shelves. But he researched them and said, yokai, it says, come quick. And there's all the masks and everything. And she's like, when I was young, he taught me lots of things here in this storeroom. That is one thing I really like about this episode, is it talks about Taki and how much she loved her grandfather, but also gained an appreciation for what he loved. And that really touched me emotionally because I felt that way about my grandfather. Like, he passed when I was 8 years old, so I didn't get to know him very long. But he loved movies and he loved watching movies. He loved talking about them. He loved taking photographs and he liked videotaping. And I feel like from him, even though I was so young when he passed, I gained that kind of love of the same thing he did because he talked about it all the time. And he'd show me his video cassettes and his basement, his equipment and all that. And it really gave me an appreciation. So I definitely, like, it touched my heart to hear Taki talk about her grandfather that way, because I can totally relate and understand that feeling that she has. And it's like, it's beautiful. It was beautiful, this episode. So anyway, and then you see like him talking about her, about like, you see him and her standing on the circle with all the papers and everything, and him teaching her all the things. Now, her parents didn't really quite approve of it. They were like, they didn't like this place because they probably thought it was creepy. But she's like, I'm the only one who would come in here. Which is kind of cool. So they go upstairs, or Natsume goes upstairs to open up the window. I think it's really hilarious too, because here's the thing. If you've ever watched Attack on Titan, the character in Attack on Titan, whose voice actor Kamiya also plays Natsume, opens up the window too of a building to clean in that series. And that is hilarious that there's that comparison. So I can't believe Natsume and Levi are voiced by the same person. But anyway, what a view! Why aren't we talking about the view that Taki's family has of the countryside? Like, those views, them some high dollar real estate views you're getting out of that window, Natsume. Don't be taking that for granted. But there's all these chests and everything and all these trinkets. And I love, again, we talk about the setting. When you look at all the boxes and everything, the sunlight filtering in, there's like all the dust particles, like, look like glitter. It's really well done. Like, this episode was animated beautifully. And he looks through all the trinkets. In the box! Oh my God! Oh, in the box of things that Natsume moves around is the little fake stethoscope that the yokai made. Oh my gosh. Oh, I didn't notice that until now. Which, how would you? You don't find it out till the very end. And he looks and says, "What's this?" Oh my God, I just noticed that. Wow. And he's like, "That's weird." And then he sees the picture of the kappa, but it was starting to come off the wall anyway. So when he does that, it comes off the wall and he's like, "Oh shit." And it was upside down. Now, granted, it would have eventually fell off, but I've done the same thing Natsume's done, where you see something, it's something that's been hanging on the wall for a long time and the adhesive is slowly worn off, or the adhesive on the tape is worn off, and so it's starting to fall down, and you go to put it back up and it just all comes off and you're like, shit. So I've done that too, but it was very clever in the show that they revealed that was the reason that it came off the wall. That was the reason that it released the yokai in that moment. I thought that was really well done. He's like, "Oh, isn't that funny?" And then what I like about this scene is, as he's holding the picture of the kappa, he like squeezes the paper and he's saying it's nothing great to be able to see yokai. But again, Natsume has this moment of, he's like, why would anybody want to see yokai? And we see that challenged in this episode, because not only did Taki want to see them, to see the yokai that were around her grandfather, but her grandfather wanted to see them. And I kept thinking back to the episode where Natsume met Taki and he lost his sight for a hot second, and Madara was in the room with him, and Madara looked really sad because he wanted to see Natsume and wanted Natsume to see him, and he wasn't able to. And then you connect that to the yokai being so sad that Taki's grandfather died and they couldn't see him anymore, and he couldn't see them even up until the end. I'm like, that whole bookend, like it's framed here where Natsume is like, well, why would anybody want to see yokai? And then by the end of the episode, he's like, oh, like there is something so mystical and supernatural about yokai. And even though Natsume's seen some that are horrible in terms of their personality and being malicious, there's also something so fantastical about them that why wouldn't people want to see them? And maybe it makes more sense why Sasada wants to see them. So, oh, what a great bookend moment. I love that. Yeah, and he's just so torn about it. And then they call him back down. He's like, "Oh, hey, Tanama, let's go back downstairs. What are we doing?" And then that's when the one kimono that's the body appears. Oh my gosh. Yep. They see all three. And then when they come back, there's only two. But Natsume was the only one that could see the third one. Yep. Go figure. So yeah, they're carrying out all the stuff. And I love that Taki's like, "Thanks for helping work so hard. I'll make y'all some food." Which, fair. At least she's being nice enough and offering all the food. And they're like, "Well, did you have an extra kimono there?" No. So then Natsume hears the creaking. Honestly, the little the creaking that was going throughout this episode was terrifying. Like, this series knows how to be so creepy. How to be so creepy and terrifying and just play with the spookiest imagery. And okay, can we talk about the little tiny yokai that sits on his shoulder? Like when he's attacked at first. Okay, when he's attacked at first by the kimono and everything, I know the one arm's withered up. The other arm looked mechanical, which it kind of looked like I was getting Death Parade vibes from this series because of the mannequin arm. It kind of reminded me of Death Parade with the mannequins. If you've not seen Death Parade, I have reactions to it on the channel. You should go check it out. It's 12 episodes. You'll enjoy it. So, but yeah, it was reminding me of that. So for a hot second, I thought that Taki was going to play it off and it was going to turn out to be like another protector of the house and not an actual yokai. But that's not what happened. It is an actual yokai. I was also getting, speaking of reactions on the channel, I was getting Modao Zushi flashbacks throughout this entire episode as the reaction was going on, especially the idea, this isn't really spoiling anything, but you can go watch Modao Zushi, go read it. You should do that. But the idea of it putting potty parts together as it goes, if you know, you know, but I was getting that vibe throughout the entire reaction. So yeah. But can we talk about the tiny little yokai on his shoulder? That thing is quite possibly, I was getting Coraline vibes. Coraline vibes. Number 9 vibes. It's so weird. There's something about its giant black eyes that is, and little like smiley face. It's got just like a stereotypical smiley face for a head. It's so simple, but it's creepy. I think because there's no irises, it's just black pupils and that's it. I think that's what makes it creepy. I don't think it's the smile necessarily. I think the eyes and the fact that they're black, so you can't really see, you know, the eyes or souls are windows to the soul and you can't see through the black eyes. But it was so weird. It's like a tiny little yokai that's like the little dragon chick and like the little ones carrying the yokai head in season 2, but it's just got that creepy little face. Like the designs that the mangaka creates for these yokai are so creepy and weird, but I love them. It's so bizarre, right? It's so bizarre. I'm just like, I never saw you before, kid. And Natsume's like, if I were Natsume, even after seeing all the yokai that I had seen, I would still be terrified of that yokai. And I'd be like, okay. Okay, sure. Like, that's how I would feel. Mm-hmm. So Shinichiro was Taki's grandfather, and they're like, we used to come here all the time. So the kimono yokai we find out is one that Shinichiro had managed to seal. Now, something we've learned about this series as a whole is that a lot of times, and I like the idea that there are barriers around Taki's house, which is like a literal mansion, and that the body parts are stored around as well. Something that we've learned from this series is that even the yokai that are kind of antagonistic and out to help themselves, one thing about them is they know the pecking order, they know the food chain, they know that there are yokai bigger than them that will possibly try to eat them. Kind of like with the crow yokai and then with the well yokai that tried to attack Kai back in season 2. So these yokai here, these little ones that are all scattered about, since they talk about how evil this main yokai is, they were probably totally fine with Shinichiro sealing it and were like, we don't want that thing to get out again. It could probably eat us. So let's just leave it there and just mess with Shinichiro and we'll be good. So they probably were totally fine with hiding the body parts and not worrying about it, right? But yeah, also I think that location and region takes a big part in this series too, if you think about it, because I'm from a very rural area. And if you think about it, when my best friend lives in California, like south of LA, Los Angeles, and the place that he lives in is tiny, but is probably way more than where I live, which is probably double the size of where he lives. But it's just like locations. So like these big, giant, sprawling locations, like for Taki and Tanama, you probably, in a series like, again, I'm just shameless plugging every series I've seen on this channel this episode, but I'm going to say it, but like, The Millionaire Detective, go watch it. It's a great series. In that series, like a giant mansion, which I'm exaggerating, the mansion in that series is really big. But my point is a giant mansion for that series, or even God, Sarune, I'm going to plug that one too. Go see that series as well. But in Sarune, like Shu's big house would be really super expensive and elegant and luxury. Whereas Taki and Tanama's, because they're in a rural location that probably the property value isn't as great, it's not seen as bougie. Because in other series I've watched, Taki and Tanama's place, if you went to them, you'd be like, wow, these people are bougie. But it's not seen that way because of the way the land is. And plus they're both kind of either shrines or related to temples. So there's probably that aesthetic to it that explains it. So I'm just saying it's interesting in comparison to other series. But yeah, so this whole episode read like an after school special, and in the best way possible. Like Natsume looking under the boards of the house, trying to get the leg of the yokai going after the leg. And then the thing about it is that I really like is that Natsume, whenever Taki and Tanama find him under the house, in season 1 or 2, he probably would have told them that it's no big deal. It's fine. Let me take care of it, and do his whole self use. Let me do my own thing. Don't involve others. But here he involves them. He tells them about the yokai. He tells them what's going on. He's upfront with them. When he finds out from the yokai, when they talk about like they teased the grandfather and like would like poke at him and stuff while he was reading about them. At first, what I thought this episode was going to do was I thought it was going to set up Natsume lying to Taki, because he says that the yokai really liked him and they were like, we didn't like him. Nah, 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 nah. And what I thought was going to happen was that when she had the circle that you could see yokai with and she put it down, I thought the yokai were going to get in the circle and tell her that they made fun of her grandfather and didn't like him, and she was going to get upset and then ask Natsume why he lied to her, and it was going to become a thing. I'm glad they didn't go that route, because that was some unnecessary drama that didn't need to be there, especially when we get later on in the episode and we find out that, yeah, the yokai actually did like the grandfather. They did like his company. They were sad that he died. So I'm glad that they didn't go the route that I thought it was going to. I'm glad the series subverted my expectation, because I very much thought that was the route it was going to go, but that's not what ended up happening. So yeah. So anyway, another thing that I really like too is that like Taki's looking around trying to see the yokai, just like as Natsume's looking around talking about them. What's interesting is that she's looking around trying to find the yokai. Tanama never takes his eyes off Natsume. He's like, no, I'm going to look at you, man. And I'm like, of course you are. But one thing I really like too about this episode is that it illustrates how lucky Natsume is to have two friends like Taki and Tanama, because if it were his school friends, I don't think he could get away with acting like this without them kind of questioning what's going on. And maybe they wouldn't, but I feel like it's important that he has friends like Taki and Tanama who don't judge him, who are like, oh, okay, no, we get it. That's you see these spirits. We wish we could see them too. But they're like, whereas most people think that he's just freaking out, he is trying to protect the house. And they're like, yeah. So then he goes up to see the dang spirit, and oh my God. And that's when they open the door and she says, look at that window. Shinichiro would sit there with books about the yokai, and we would all sit there. We were right there, but he never realized. And it was so much fun. And you come to realize that the yokai, they actually ended up really liking his presence and liking being around him. The little black yokai with the little eye, like the little squid looking one, not the squid looking one that was red beside it, but the little black one, it had a really little squeaky voice, and it was really cute. It was kind of off-putting at first, but then it was like, we really just want to see her grandfather. Like, it was actually really super cute, and I was like, oh, I kind of thought that was adorable. And then you had the little one with the Oni mask that was just like, okay, next to him. Like, all these little yokai that were around the grandfather were actually kind of adorable. And then you see, like, there's one that looks like, one looks like a little deer. One looks like a little goat. He has the big old head. He looks like one we've seen previously in the series. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, we see Taki's grandfather reading about the yokai, and she's like, I missed that. So yeah, so they go up in the attic room. That yokai coming after them and knocking, and as she like whips them out from the attic, like I was like, girl, if they hit their head and they had a concussion, that'd be the end of this episode. Also, they had a continuing canon moment, because in the manga we establish that whenever Tanama is around yokai that are particularly evil, he gets a headache. So that's kind of how he can detect. He has like a little detection of evil yokai, right? It's mainly, the manga establishes it's around malicious yokai. So if he's around a particularly bad spirit, the miasma makes him have a headache. So I was glad we actually had some continuity with that up in the attic, where he feels the presence of the evil yokai, and him and Natsume are able to like call it out. So yeah, but totally creepy. Like, also, I don't like zombie movies where the zombies move super fast. Hate it. Totally scared. Don't want that at all. No, thank you. So I thought that this yokai coming at them at high speeds was terrifying. So there's that. But yeah. And they managed to get out. So one thing that I also thought was interesting, this is just a tiny side note, but I thought it was interesting how Taki has a little koi fish pond that in her backyard and everything. And meanwhile, Tanama has a spiritual koi pond, but not a real one in his actual house. So I thought that was a pretty cool little kind of juxtaposition there. But yeah, so all the yokai starts coming back up, and they're like, oh, is that Shinichiro? And they're like, oh no, he died a long time ago. And they're like, that's so boring. But yeah, I think it's so interesting how, again, if you look, Taki is looking up where the yokai are and trying to see them and figuring out what Natsume is seeing. Tanuma doesn't take his eyes off of Natsume. And I was like, okay. Tanuma takes every moment to soak in when Natsume's eyes aren't on him. I'm like, I see how this is. But man, so then Natsume's like, well, what do we do? So, and that's when he says they really liked your grandfather. And of course, the one yokai's like, we didn't like him. And they're like, a human child, you should, according to the kimono yokai is Kakura. And basically his head is in the backyard. And Tanma calls out saying, you know, normally you would not have involved us in all of this, but Natsume's like, it's kind of nice having people that can help me out. I'm not by myself, which is nice. But then he gets taken by the yokai. And around that time, that's when Madara decides to show back up. So it'll be interesting in the manga to see what ends up going with that. One of my favorite parts of this episode is that when Madara, when she puts down the map and he sees the yokai standing in the room, he knows that they're there. And he asks them, he's like, why didn't you go into the circle to help them? And the yokai respond to him and they're like, well, we had no reason to. And they're like, it's not good to be involved with humans. And Madara just turns right around and walks away. Doesn't say a damn word. Doesn't say a word. He's like, yeah. And I feel like to me, that's Madara going, yeah, it's probably not good that we involve ourselves with humans, but I'm about to. I love that. Madara, there's something about the way in both the anime and the manga, his character can just look. Not say a word, but those unmoving eyes somehow have so much emotion behind them. It's kind of impressive. But yeah, so, and Natsume keeps getting taken by these yokai and waking up in their clutches, and he's about to get his arm chopped off. Oh my god, he's about to lose limbs all the time. But yeah, so anyway, they're in the backyard, and there's the head. It's pried into the lamp thing, and luckily for us, he needs both hands to pry it out. So that's good. That's great. Can we talk about, though, that as Madara basically comes out to fight the kimono yokai, Kakura, and the barriers keep them from, like, leaving the premises. So Madara didn't have much choice. It's like, they can't leave the premises because of the barriers. They can't let him get his head because then he'll be even stronger. They've got to get rid of him before he injures Natsume or someone else because Taki and Tanuma are there who can't see him. And so that's going to be a problem. So I'm actually kind of amazed that I loved the fact that all of the yokai all climbed aboard. Like all of the yokai that saw Shinichiro back in his earlier years, they all climbed aboard the yokai Kakura to stop him. But then Madara, like, he ate him. He legit killed him. And I was like, has Madara killed a yokai before? Has that happened? But it did here. I was like, and the fact that, I mean, there wasn't a lot of attention drawn to it, but at the same time, it's like, well, what do we do? And then we literally have like 4 minutes left of this episode. And they show us this, like, all of the yokai surrounding Shinichiro as he's dying with their little made-up stethoscope saying humans are such frail creatures. And they're like, get well, Shinichiro. And they're all surrounding him, like, bonking him on the head with the stethoscope. I was about to cry. I was like, oh my god, just these little yokai all around him as he's dying. And they're like, don't you want to see us? And I was like, why are you making this so sad, show? Why are you doing this? And they're like, get well soon. And then it immediately cuts to black, and it cuts to black like he's died, and there's Taki crying over him, like what the yokai said. Oh my god. And then Natsume wakes up, and they're like, oh. And so then Madara's like, oh, I got rid of him a long time ago. And he's like, sensei, and he's like, well, I couldn't have him eating, you know, my dessert or anything like that. So then Natsume thanks the spirits and asks if they're leaving. And they're like, well, of course we're leaving. They're like, we're not going to come back because Shinichiro are gone. And they're like, we don't want to get in trouble with the other yokai. And I love that the one yokai stepped in the circle to tell the girl. They're like, well, it's not Shinichiro's house or anything. And Taki says, thank you. And like, she's going to cry. And she's like, thank you for coming here to see my grandfather. And she can't see them, but she's about to cry as she's looking at them, and they're just like, oh, well, of course. And that's when the little creepy yokai, she says, farewell, Shinichiro's granddaughter. And they say, take care. And then she's gone. Just like the idea of these yokai looking out for the house while her grandfather was there, and then the flowery scent and everything, that they had been there when her grandfather had passed. They were calling out the name of a person who had never saw them. Oh. And she's like, seeing them is equivalent to meeting them. And she's like, I want to know about the yokai and what they were like. Oh my God. It's just so good. It's just so good. This episode was great. This episode was wonderful. I loved this episode. It was great. He's like, I've had all these memories. And now he's like, now that I'm actually talking about them, there's just like, what can I say? It's hard to describe in words. So good. It's so good. Oh my God. Yes. 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 I freaking loved this episode. It was so good, y'all. I absolutely adored it. I am excited to hear your comments down below about it, but I also shamelessly plugged like 6 other series that you should be watching if you're not watching them currently. So yes, but oh my God, this was a fantastic episode. What a roller coaster. Just keeping on the tradition of good Natsume content. And I'm excited. Next week, we're going to have a twofer, which I'm super excited about. Next week, we're going to be having episodes 32 and 33 together. The 6th and 7th episode of season 3 already. Can you believe it? I'm super excited. But yes, that's what we're going to be doing next week, is having 2 episodes in one. It should be a fun time. So yeah, I can't wait, y'all. I cannot wait. So I'm super excited. I hope you all are as well. But I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'll be back next week with episodes 32 and 33 of Natsume Yujinchou.